Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Pepper.
And today we're going to be doing our final PanTalk for actually talking about a month, and that is the month of December.
Yes.
So we just got done with our first attempt at December. And spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't watched any of these before, that there will be spoiler talk throughout the whole thing. But yeah, if you're wanting to see this, you haven't watched our other ones, we have them for every other month out there currently, so check those out and watch through the whole series to get a good idea of where we're at.
Yes. Well, I'm sure there's a few people, the people who like to read the end of a book before they started. They'll just jump to this.
See where we're at.
See the ending first.
But yeah, we ended up getting a card that kind of told us we'd lost pretty much.
Yeah, like, oh, yeah.
You losers.
Nice little vaccines there. It's not going to help you.
It's
too late.
Anything. It's too late. The Coda virus is going to just spread, and we've got different variants, and it's just going to something you can't stop. So then we ended up having to destroy all the previous goals.
All the previous objectives. So the one that's been with us always, discover cures to the diseases, which just feels wrong to rip that one off, which we will be doing shortly. Sabotage 2 military bases, have 3 vaccine factors on the board, and have 6 vaccinated cities on the board, which we had kind of set ourselves up. It was like, oh, this one's going to be good, because we had a few vaccinated cities, but we never actually did accomplish that one.
No, we did not, because, and it even made me think a little bit that what you'll see here shortly, I thought that this might be a bad thing for us, too, potentially, not having kind of that complete or vaccinating some more of the faded cities. But so we had to destroy all of these.
I always want to think of interesting ways to rip them up. It's kind of hard.
Yeah, there's really only so many ways to rip it. Can we get it perfectly down? Nope, that wasn't perfect. Not even close.
That can be ripped more.
I'll get this out of there. But
then
then
a cardboard box over there.
We ended up
them on the ground.
Getting two new objectives, which are both mandatory
which
objectives.
We accidentally ripped up instead. Get the tape.
And should have probably known because there was only 2 to do in October or December. Not October. We're not going back in October. That was a horrible month. But we had to vaccinate every faded city, and also find and destroy the secret stockpile of Coda in Atlanta.
Yes, which that introduced another track, which you can just take a look. You can't really see it, but it's got a bunch of card icons, printed different colored card icons along this track.
Up to potentially 16 spots.
Yes, with kind of half of those costing 2 cards of a color, and the other half costing a single card. And those are cards you can discard, so
you can't use them for other things.
Intimidating. But like we said, it did remove the kind of cure disease objective, so we could possibly save those cards and use them towards this instead, but still pretty intimidating.
But so those are both pretty intimidating because we also did not have that many vaccinated. So we did not end up winning. We ended up running out of, we did end up hitting the outbreak, but we were going to run out of cards either way in the next turn. So we
got lucky. The last epidemic card was the last card in the deck.
That part's true.
But it wasn't enough. We
ended up actually, surprisingly, the Pikachu virus, the yellow one, we ended up curing and eradicating almost immediately.
Yeah, just the first couple turns.
And then we cured the blue and almost had that too. We had it down to 1 spot. And I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it is now all over all of Europe.
It is. We had just a few.
3 left.
Blue cubes left. So we said, it can't get out of hand. But then,
because we drew the worst possible
we had Montreal,
card.
New York, and Madrid all at 2. So I cleared Montreal and New York and thought that saved us. But then Paris was drawn from the bottom of the deck, adding 3 cubes there. And Paris and Madrid just kind of
bounced off each other.
Back and forth.
Paris, that one coming up, was really one of the worst draws we could have gotten. That just kind of cost us by getting some outbreaks there. And we had already kind of had Los Angeles and Sydney were going back and forth, outbreaking each other.
Yeah.
And those were two of our fated cities. So that's kind of what hurt us a little bit more, made it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. Yep.
And Los Angeles was the first one to get drawn, so that actually added a military building there, which made it even harder to.
Yeah, it was. It was tough. We did end up, like you said, vaccinating a lot of the cities. We pretty much cleared everything but one spot, Sydney. But yeah, we spent mostly the first part of the game clearing up in the northeast here. Took care of that, and I feel the collapsing and fallen cities definitely had more effect in this game with trying to move into them. Even with Gus's ability to be able to move into them from a structure, it still was tough, especially with those roadblocks there as well. Kind of made that very hard to get to LA.
That was good.
But yeah, it
because
did stop
Los Angeles blew multiple times. If we wouldn't have had roadblocks here, we would have caused ourselves a lot of headaches.
Yeah, I guess Chicago was fine because that was vaccinated, but could have gone to Mexico City and Lima, so that would have been.
Turn those into faded, that would not have been good at all.
Yeah.
But at least now our last one is kind of surrounded, so it will not kind of cause any more. So we should be able to clean that up in our second attempt.
Yes.
So then it's really going to come down to this stockpile, which we got a good jump on it at one point in the game, but then we just never were really able to get back there.
Yeah.
Just because we were taking care of all the cities,
and
like
we
you
even
said,
had
taking
the two
multiple
cards
actions
in our deck with the gain an additional 2 spots, which could be absolutely huge in this. So hopefully we're able to draw those cards again.
Right. I think that was just I think we just had too many cities that were faded and not vaccinated to be able to do that while also getting the cards. We would have almost had to have them pretty much come up perfectly for each of us and then kind of go back and forth.
Yeah. And we ended up taking a few scars with the self-sacrifice action just to extend it and allow ourselves at least to be able to vaccinate those cities so they won't be a problem in the future.
Shirley Temple, who, we played. I don't know if we said. We played with Gus.
Shirley and Gus.
And
the co-workers.
Yes, so she's overcautious now, so I need 1 extra card of the disease color to discover a cure. And her original ability is I only need 4 cards of the same color to discover a cure action. So I'm pretty much back. I'm just a normal person now with Shirley Temple. So it wasn't awful, but
Excuse me. And Gus is now paranoid, so he cannot share knowledge except with someone who he has a relationship with, which his relationships are with his coworker Shirley and his family member, his daughter Ho Smiley. And I don't know if he's ever actually partnered with anyone but them. I'm trying to check. Gus and Shirley, Gus and Ho, Gus and Ho. Yeah, he has. He did. With Pete SD.
He did
early on in March. But other than that, he's always been paired with his relationships. So we thought that was a pretty safe scar to put on him since there's 1 game left. We assume 1 game left. And
that's true.
Going to be either with Shirley or his daughter.
That's true. So we ended up losing, but I think we're in a good position for this next
vaccination
round.
Should be very, very easy to take care of.
That's
hopefully.
True. And then you kind of have to hope that it's just a bunch of those, so we don't actually add any faded figures or cubes at all. That'd be really awesome, but I'm sure it'll all be in the center of our board, making that a huge problem immediately.
It sucks because yellow, we hit a lot of the same yellows that did come out, but we never added too many additional ones.
Right. Before we started hitting the epidemics and bringing them back. So, we sadly didn't get a bunch of them out.
I was hoping
that would happen.
Because we had a good bit of red, a good bit of blue, a good bit of black. Not as much yellow, but...
so then as our rewards, we ended up, sometime during the game, you'd added a building to New York, so we just made that a permanent one. And then we added a one-time event card, the nuclear option. Destroy 1 card in the infection discard pile, remove all cubes and faded figures from that city, mark it as fallen, then destroy this card. So...
we bring the nuclear option
we'll see
into play.
if we need to use that or not. But, so that was our first attempt. at the December Pandemic Legacy Season 1. We will be trying it again here shortly and letting you know how our second attempt goes. I think it's
going to go well. High hopes.
We're hopeful. But
just waiting to cut back to our sad, devastated faces.
You'll see us in just a bit. Well, we just got through our second game of December of Pandemic Legacy Season 1, which is also the last game of the whole season, the last game of the year. And we won!
We did!
We did it!
We were victorious! We are the champions.
My friend. But, yeah, going into this one, if you've watched, obviously I hope you watched the first half of this video.
Yep.
But if you have not, we kind of had a plan going into this one of just pretty much focusing on the search for the stockpile.
Yeah, we had to vaccinate all the fated cities. We only had one left, Sydney. So we just, like you said, really focused on getting the cards and discarding them to find that stockpile in Atlanta.
So yeah, we were mainly doing that, and also just keeping the cubes in control as much as we could, not really worrying about curing anything.
Yeah. Really felt kind of like back to basics type of game, where we didn't have too much to worry here. We still had to trade cards in, not necessarily for curing a disease, which we didn't cure any of them.
Right.
But yeah, it just felt like a simpler game.
So yeah, and then for the last one, we ended up bringing back Gus for one final time, and then his daughter, he brought with him Ho Smiley.
They both survived.
They didn't take any more scars this round, which is really good. But yeah, we kind of started off with kind of just, I think I had kind of gone off to just clear some cubes, because you had a decent combination of cards to kind of at least get that going. And then kind of as I got done clearing cubes, you actually got a pretty big hand with Gus that kind of cleared a bunch of these spots.
For sure,
so that got us pretty far on that, and then what I had ended up just like fitting right after that, so we kind of just zoomed along.
Those are hands that in normal trying to cure the diseases would not have been good. Just so split, but for this, it worked perfectly.
Right, yeah. I felt like it really worked extremely well, because I was able to easily clear any big threats we had. We did hit an epidemic card, which put 3 cubes in Istanbul, which of course is attached to 6 different places, and of course it hit. It was an outbreak, so we all of a sudden had just a little minor heart attack there. Of, oh gosh, if this so and so happens, this could all of a sudden get out of hand.
If we hit an epidemic and pull any of those like 5 or 6 surrounding it, add 3 there, that's going to explode immediately.
Yeah, and that's just... So we were a little concerned about that. So that was kind of then when you had just played your cards. So then I
went over to
built a military base to go over there.
Didn't build that.
Or no, you didn't.
Yeah, I went. Forget how I got over there, but I went over there somehow. Got over there, Istanbul, cleaned up those 3, and I ended up going over to Algiers. Pick one up there from the surrounding Cairo. Pick one up there, and then
and kind of throughout it, I was using Ho's special ability of quarantining. Once per turn, I could use a quarantine action to place a quarantine marker anywhere on the board. So kind of a few areas that seemed a little out of the way, I just kept putting those on there, including one of them being Sydney, which was our last fated city that wasn't vaccinated,
just to prevent any
just so that nothing would happen there. So that was good. And then I went along and got some of those cards. And then I think
then you ended up going over to...
because then I thought, okay, I'll finally go, cure Sydney. And
you had the cure in your hand.
I did have the cure.
You were about to run down there. And you got ahead of yourself.
I did get a little ahead of myself.
Sydney...
Because I knew, too, at that point then, I had spent most of my cards to move this, and you had kind of started piling up some good cards for that.
I had that binoculars, so that was going to get that boost as well, so we knew that I could take care of the stockpile in Atlanta. So you said you'd go get Sydney, but Sydney is collapsing, which means you have to discard a card of that city's color to enter it, and you did not have a red card.
I did not.
So you were there, ready with the actions, and you just weren't able to do it. So then Gus is like, oh my, what's happening with my daughter over in Sydney? She can't get in. They're not letting her in. I've got to take care of this. So Gus goes over to Atlanta, or he's in Atlanta, or
Takes care of it. Yeah.
moves from Cairo to Atlanta with his fantastic ability of discarding. Oh, wait a minute. Was that the same turn that I did that?
I don't remember.
I forget if I did.
I don't think so. It was 2 different turns. It was.
Oh yeah,
turns.
that was the end of the one turn.
Yeah,
the beginning of that turn.
Yep.
Okay, I was worried because it was a once per turn.
No.
I'm like, wait a minute, was I able to do that?
No, you weren't able to do that much movement.
But yeah, so I found the stockpile, I'll read it because it's pretty cinematic, and it's just great to imagine Gus.
It totally fits exactly what Gus would do.
Yes.
He's even got a hard hat on, so
it makes sense. The stockpile was hidden deep underground, but your team has persevered. Some well-placed explosives and the alternate strains of Coda are no more. You walk away from the explosion without looking back. Which is just fantastic. Everyone knows those shots in the movies, and just to put that into the board game with Gus, like our favorite Gus. Character.
And he's getting the call from his daughter at this time. Yes. I can't get into Sydney, and he's like,
I gotta go.
Never a dull moment for Gus. He's always got something he's got to do.
He does. So then he's like, how do I get over there? I'm going to use as an action, build a structure in the city I'm in, no card required, put a military base, because he's like, we've kind of exposed the corruption and the evils in the military bases, so he's trying to rebuild that, because he's a military man. He believes in second chances, so he builds that there. Maybe he shouldn't have. Something we'll talk about later, but so then he does that.
Interesting.
Then flies with his other ability from that base directly to Sydney to get in there and be like, "What's up, guys? Why ain't you letting Ho in here?"
Right.
This is my daughter we're talking about here. So he's able to do that.
Yeah. When I wasn't able to do mine, I ended up just going kind of a little north to clear out a few more black cubes, just to kind of be safe. But yeah, so he's asking why couldn't let her in. But then the next turn I did get a red card and I was able to get in.
It was quite the red card.
It was quite the red card. It was actually the card we put a special thing on at the end of our last game with the Shanghai card, one-time event of a nuclear option to destroy one card in the infection discard pile, remove all cubes and faded figures from that city, mark it as fallen, then destroy this card. And I was debating doing this.
She had to threaten with a nuke to be able to enter the
city.
She
did. Granted, Sydney had not been in the discard pile, so I would not have been able to do that. But I was debating doing Los Angeles since it was already fallen.
Yes.
So we could have just blown that again and just kind of left it. No one really cares too much about Los Angeles. So, but I decided to get in there, give you an extra action.
Yep, because we are family members if we start in the same spot.
That's true. I didn't know how many actions you'd need.
Yeah, I mean, I had already, but I had vaccine. I was in the last place that needed to be vaccinated. No faded figures. So it starts my turn. Got an additional action. I'm at 5 actions there. You actually had one of our funded events
that I drew at the end of my turn, actually, and then it was the borrowed time. So the current player takes 2 extra actions this turn if you use it.
So you decided to use that. So Gus has 7 actions. Really only would need 1, but he doesn't let anything go to waste.
No.
And he didn't quite trust. He thought those vaccines, he's been holding on to them like since the very start of the game. So he was just a little worried. He wants to take care of business. He doesn't want any funny business, anything sneaking up on us. So he didn't want those to be expired.
Right.
So he decided
to dispose of those.
To throw those in the water, go up through Manila into Hong Kong, pick up some vaccines at that factory, move down to Ho Chi Minh, Jakarta, back to Sydney, discarding a red card because he comes prepared. Yes. No one says no to Gus when he knocks on the door.
That's true.
So gets back to Sydney, and with his 7th action, cures, vaccinates Sydney, and possibly saves the entire world.
I think that's all. That's what we assume he did there. But yeah, so those were the 2 objectives we had to meet, was getting the search for the stockpile completed and vaccinating all the fated cities.
Yes.
So that finished that one off.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, the game went like I said, pretty smoothly, as you could hear, but yeah, just the Istanbul thing was the only one. We had that outbreak, but otherwise, yeah. So then we ended up getting to read this card since we did win, and at the end it says, "At long last, it's over." So then we got another card here that we had to fill in some points. I didn't know we were going to get scored on this. So I did not come prepared for the scoring. So
we'll did not. Okay, so scores kind of for our calendar and just kind of the games you've won and lost and how easily you won them. So it's like 40 points for winning in the first half of the month, 20 points for winning in the second half of the month. We ended up getting 7 in the first half, 4 in the second half, for a total of 360 points, which is pretty good. We only had 1 month where we didn't win at all, and that was July. And that was the 2 games only that we had Dick Sneed.
Who, if you've watched
yep.
a few previous ones, there was a traitor in our midst. And it just happened to be Dick Sneed, so
yes.
Who was someone that Shirley Temple was rivals with. So she knew, and she was, co-workers with Gus.
Something was up.
So they all kind of knew something was up there.
Yeah. There's that, and then we score for the cities and kind of how their panic level was. So 5 for each 0 to 1. And they have to be vaccinated or non-faded, which all of them are. So 5 for 0 to 1, 2 points for 2 to 3 level, and 1 point for panic level 4, and no points for a panic level 5, which we only had 1, LA.
Right. So if I had used that nuclear option on something that wasn't LA, then that would have lost us some points.
3 or 2 or 5 points. Yep. So we ended up having like 27, 0 to 1, 17, 2 to 3, 3 level 4 for a total of 172 points. And then we go on to bonuses. 100-point bonus for vaccinating every faded city, and a 100-point bonus for destroying the stockpile in Atlanta, which, like we said, were the 2 objectives for this month, and we accomplished both of those for 200 points. Would have gotten an 80-point bonus for not having any military bases on the board, which, like we said, Gus had some misplaced trust
in the military.
Yes, and Ho didn't quite feel it. They didn't really let her into Sydney, just authority figures. She's not fond of them, so she definitely wanted to get rid of those. But
that is true.
Gus
she did bring it up a couple times.
A little stubborn. He's like, "You didn't even bring a red card. Why should I listen to you? You got no clue what you're talking about, girl." So yeah, we missed out on 80 points there. So hopefully that doesn't affect our final score or ranking too much.
All right.
But that is a big chunk.
That is a big chunk of points.
We did avoid a negative 100-point bonus if we opened package 8, which we open if we lose 4 games in a row, which Dick tried really hard to make that happen, losing those 2 in a row, but we luckily brought Gus back after that. Gus and Shirley.
Gus wasn't going to let that happen.
No. So luckily avoided that. And then we would have lost 200 points if Team Bravo came to your aid, which I forget. I feel like we heard of a team, but not the A-team. We heard of a team, but I don't remember talk of them coming to our aid, so I assume that has to do something with Package 8.
Yeah.
So we had a subtotal of only 200 bonus points there, just missing out on those 80. So a grand total of all these points is 732 out of 1,000. So about 73%.
Which isn't too bad.
Which feels about right. We started off really hot, but then had some about 50-50 and some really bad months as well.
Towards the end, yeah.
So our grand total gives us the rating of that 80 points did come into play. It bumped us down from the top tier to the bottom tier. No. The top tier to the second tier, which is disaster averted. It takes a while.
Sounds about right. That's the kind of thing Gus would say.
That's what he said after he did that. After he placed that last vaccination sticker, he's like, disaster averted.
And that was the name of the motion picture that this is based on.
The Gus Smiley
It cuts
story.
to black.
Disaster averted. It takes a while, but your efforts keep the world and its civilization on track. The last of the fated are cured, and those responsible face trial and are convicted.
Ooh.
Nice, nice. If we had had those 80 more points, because that was 676 to 800, which we were at 730, so that would have put us at about 820, which would have given us a legendary achievement. You couldn't have done better. Coda is eradicated, Zodiac is destroyed, and the world recovers within the next year. You retire and enjoy the rest of your lives. Your faces will be on the money of future civilizations.
See, it makes sense though, because Gus is not a man that would retire.
No, he's going to be here. He's going to be here for all the sequels, even the prequel.
That's true.
In this case, hopefully he's in there. If he's not allowed to be in there, we're going to have a problem.
What's even the point?
But yeah, he's someone you show up and you say, we need your help. You're the only one who can do it. He's like, I'm ready to go.
That's true.
He never retires.
Ho was probably upset about that. She would have liked to be called legendary, I think.
Yes.
That's the kind of person she is.
Yes,
but
they're like, you can have your face on the money. He's like, no, we don't want it.
We don't want that.
Come on. There's more important things, Ho. But yeah, that's pretty good. There's 5 tiers here.
I'm wondering, because it does say up to 801 to 1,000 for legendary. I wonder if anyone's ever gotten 1,000 or what the highest score anyone's ever gotten is.
You'd have to win everything and not have...
That's true.
You'd have to not have any city explode more than once. It should be pretty
crazy.
Big.
I'd be playing some really solid Pandemic.
For sure. It could happen.
Just based on... I mean, you'd have to have some luck there, too, I think.
Yeah.
You'd have to have things go
Which we did go a while without actually exploding, I think, early on. I mean,
that's true.
I don't have a great memory, but I remember that we didn't really have much of these stickers, panic stickers, on the board for the first few months.
So, yeah, it could happen.
Could have happened.
But, yeah.
Very unlikely. Tell us if you've done it.
Yeah, let us know what your score was if you've played this one.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, that should be all for the months. We are going to do probably a recap video or a chippy review video of this one. It'll probably have spoilers, I'm sure, but you can check that out if you want to kind of hear our thoughts on it, what we kind of score it, rate it. But yeah, otherwise, I think we'll probably eventually try out Season 2 and Season 0. Not sure if we'll film for all of those or not, but... We'll see what we're feeling like when we get to those. Probably be a little bit. I'm guessing we won't do it next year, kind of like we did for this year. If this is the first one you've watched, we kind of released a video every single month, kind of just going along with the actual months themselves. So January through December. You're seeing this one. Well, you're either seeing this one in December of 2022 or later. I guess you could be seeing that later, but
and I actually see Ho Smiley's birthday. It's coming up soon. I believe just in a few days here of the posting of this video.
December 19th.
Yes. He's got March 21st. So it's just a
be
ways for Gus, but this is just what better gift
than to save the world.
To save the world. Bail out his daughter when she couldn't get it done.
That is true.
Happy birthday, Ho.
Happy birthday, Ho. But yeah, otherwise, that's everything in this video. We definitely hope to see you on some of our other videos. And as always, don't forget to
keep on nibbling
on our content.